Well, coming up in the next 30 minutes on Business Live, threats to economic stability and impact of COVID-19 forced the Bank of Ghana to hold the policy rate at 14%.
Imports have generally declined, and if there is import compression, then you expect that will translate into a lower demand for foreign currency. So yes, that's also part of the story for the cedi stability.
Meanwhile, banking consultants and also a champion is raising concerns over the maintenance of the policy rate.
It's my view that we need to stimulate the economy. Going into the free trade zone, we need to stimulate so that we can take advantage. Other than that, we could get other economies taking more advantage than that.
We'll tell you how each Ghanaian could be owing about 9,126 cedis after the total debt stock hit 273 billion cedis. Plus, the World Bank moves to check Ghana's rising debt stock as it holds back a fraction of the country's loan allocations as a precautionary measure. Hello once again, I'm Charles Aite with the details of the stories. On the fiscal front, average lending rates of commercial banks have fallen by 1.8% to about 21.26% since January last year. This year, I should say. Now, this comes as a good omen for businesses since a few years ago, cost of credit was high at about 31% on average. Charles Nixon-Yeboah has more in this report.
To the Bank of Ghana, cost of borrowing has been easing because of improved economic fundamentals. The cost of credit, however, varies among the commercial banks. Some banks offer as low as 17% for lending, whilst others price their loans as high as 27%. It also, however, depends on the risk profile of the customer. But this is far better than in 2015, 2016 and 2017, where rates were as high as more than 30% per annum. With respect to interest rates on treasury bills and other government securities, the rates have remained relatively stable for the past 3 months. For instance, yield on the 91-day treasury bill has remained relatively stable at 14.02% between August and October this year. However, the interest rate on the 182-day T-bill has hovered around 14.10% for the last 3 months. Research arm of ratings agency Fitch earlier projected an ease in interest rates in the country from early next year.
Now, each Ghanaian could be owing about 9,126 Ghana cedis. That's if the total debt stock of 273 billion cedis is shared among the population size of 30 million Ghanaians. That the nation added 10.7 billion cedis in the month of August and September to the public debt stock, increasing it to the gross domestic product ratio of about 71%. Now, the scenario is that the nation may have to fall on taxes to clear these debts. It's estimated that the value of the Ghanaian economy in monetary terms may be more than 400 billion cedis. Meanwhile, the World Bank has taken some tough measures to check the country's rising debt stock. The move may result in Ghana missing out on additional funding if it fails to control the debt situation. George Riafi has more in this story.
Part of a broader initiative by the World Bank to help check the rising debt stock in some countries in Africa, including Ghana. This because of its impact on debt servicing and the stability of their respective economies. The World Bank had decided to institute a new lending program for Ghana and other African countries under its IDA-19 initiative. Now, this is a 3-year lending cycle for the country. Under this initiative, Ghana may have to show that it has taken some critical measures to control its rising debt stock in order to get the remaining loan under the funds allocated. World Bank Country Director Pierre Laporte tells Joy Business in Ghana's case, it may have to hold back a higher percentage of its loan allocation.
For countries at high risk of debt distress like Ghana, the holdback is 20% of your IDA allocation. So 1.5 billion is 300 million is sort of held back. In this cycle, we're going to hold back 20% of Ghana's allocation, and we've agreed with government certain actions that it will do in the next couple of years to strengthen further debt management.
Well, it's the believe with the World Bank that this move, together with other measures, will help control Ghana's debt stock and prevent it from flipping into a debt distress category. This because of its impact on its credit ratings. According to the 2020 budget, government is hoping to end the year by paying about 22 billion Ghana cedis as interest on loans. Now, this is the second highest spending item on the 2020 budget, apart from total compensation for public sector workers.
Away from that, the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Alderson, has maintained that threats to economic stability and COVID-19 forced the bank to keep the policy rate at 14.5%. Now, of course, the governor has been speaking on this particular situation, and here's exactly what he's been saying.
These are issues that we have been discussing quite frequently. I mean, the issue of why the policy rate was not adjusted downwards. It's very clear in our last MPC statement. I think that with this MPC statement, we've also been very clear about why we have not done that. If you look at the statement, we point out the risks from the fiscal side and also the uncertainty about the pandemic. Now, it is important that the budget is fully financed. And to keep the budget fully financed, you need an interest rate which is high enough to allow investors, including domestic investors, to be interested in buying government bonds. That is the context in which we find ourselves, that we have a large financing need for the budget. This is not the time to be reducing policy rates to create a disincentive for getting the budget fully financed.
Meanwhile, the banking consultant and also a champion is raising concerns over the governor's decision to keep the rates unchanged.
I agree with those sentiments, because looking at the positives of the macro as well as the micro in the banking sector, it points to a level where we need some stimulus to stimulate the economy, as other jurisdictions are doing, because generating the income is as important as doing otherwise. And so I'm of the view, I support the view that the policy rate needs to change southwards. Yeah.
You thought that it was very critical that in these times the rate should have come down to stimulate the expected growth that we're all looking for?
Yes, that is my view, that we need to stimulate the economy. Going into the free trade zone, we need to stimulate so that we can take advantage. Other than that, we could get other economies taking more advantage than us, even though it's headquartered in Ghana. I haven't done any research to find the relative interest rates in the other economies, especially in the free trade, but I think relatively ours is a bit on the high side, because at 14.5%, basic, then lending at 23%, as the governor said, it is non-productive in the sense that businesses borrowing at 23-25% means they have to generate more than a quarter income before they are able to even look at their other expenses. So I think, to me, it's high.
Now, the former finance minister said Tekpe is reviving the argument that ex-president John Mahama left a bad economy. According to him, Mr. Mahama's administration left the economy on a sound footing. And as such, today's economic indicators, including the rising debt, suggest that the economy is no better than in 2016.
In the budget, and even in His Excellency Vice President Mahama's, Baumia's, they started using the 6.3. So if you look at the budget speech, the deficit is 6.3. It's either stated as 6.3, 6.5, or 6.8, which in any event is less than 9, 10, or whatever. Now, note that, and that was my fourth point, which I suspended. If the deficit went down in 2016, who brought it down? Milson and Adu. Yeah. So you see, that's why I said that the offset itself was clumsy. From a fiscal perspective, it's clumsy. I don't know who was advising. So the consolidation which they're talking about, which started, was supposed to be, so in 2016, Then the deficit went down to 4.1. So in actual fact, the deficit went down from 6.1 to 4.1. That's 2% only. Not some magical 5% or whatever, no. Because Mahama brought a deficit and reduced it, by this, definition. So if there was any consolidation that was really done, right, then it was done by Mahama. But then this administration.
Petroleum revenue as one of his arguments, Mr. Tekpa said the present government has benefited from a whopping 214 billion cedi oil receipts compared to Mahama's 115 billion cedis, and therefore can't use COVID-19 as a reason for the struggling economy.
Go to the 2020 budget and you will see the reason there. The reason there was that the 2020 budget, the 4.7, did not include any provision for energy sector costs and bailout costs. And it was adjusted after the IMF adjusted it. So much of the increase, so you go to the, if you go to the media review, that's where the adjustment was done. The media review, COVID was fully funded from the IMF, RCF, and from the World Bank, RCF loan and all those things. They were fully, covered. So what increased the deficit for 4.7 to 11% or 13% had to do with the energy cost, which was left out in 2020, had to do with the bank bailout cost, which was also left out despite the slump, and then it also had to do, with increase in compensation and increase in interest payments, and then below the line amortization. These were the things that increased the deficit. And it had nothing to do with, with COVID.
Well, away from that, aggrieved customers of Black Shield, formerly called Gold Coast Fund Management, have rejected government's new payment plan for their locked-up funds. The group say that the new arrangement is unfavorable and a disadvantage to those with locked-up funds beyond 1 million cedis. Prince Appiah has more in this report.
For more than 2 years, customers of defunct fund management companies have had challenges accessing their funds. Government has announced payment of the locked up funds, but with 50,000 cedi cap. But aggrieved customers say the new payment processes are too cumbersome and will disadvantage its members. Spokesperson Charles Nyame says the payment processes have been rejected.
According to the Securities and Exchange Commission, they are released on the 18th. When you receive the text message as a Gold Coast Fund Management customer, it will come with a claim ID, and you have to log on to the internet to fill a form with this claim ID. After you fill the form and submit it, you come back home and wait for 5 working days. After the 5 working days, you receive a feedback. You take the feedback to commercial bank. Then you fill another form and wait for 5 working days again. After that, you get a feedback. You take the feedback to the bank again. After that, you come home and wait for 2 working days. Then you go and check if the money is in the account before you can withdraw. We have already taken our entrenched position. We have made the government aware, the Akufo-Addo government aware, that any payment plan that spans after the 7th December, the election day, we do not accept.
Leadership wants government to review its payment processes to capture those whose funds exceed 50,000 Ghana cedis. Mr. Nyame says government should at least pay 70% of funds exceeding 1 million cedis.
We accept the capped amount because we know that majority of the customers fall within it, fine. But yesterday we are standing as a family. We are pleading with another government that they should go back to the drawing board and find a proper way to meet this category of customers, either by 50% or 70% or 80%. But the capped amount wouldn't help.
The group suspects the New Patriotic Party is patronizing them for political expediency. Mr. Nyame says they will not agree to any arrangement that will go beyond December 7.
We believe that they just want to span the payment process to be after the election, to lure us to vote for them. After we voted for them, then they will come back to tell us that the court cases must finish before they pay us. We will not do that. What we are saying is that if we are not paid before 7 December, if we don't get our money, as Gold Coast customers nationwide, we will vote against Akufo-Addo government.
Prince Apia reporting.
And you know, we're keeping a keen eye on those developments to give you a update as and when we do have them. But you're still watching Business Live. We take a short break. We'll be right back. Now, government is not in the interest of doing business rather than giving the private sector an enabling environment to thrive. This is what the Deputy Trade Minister Robert Amkalenzi told a cross-section of Indian investors in Ghana at the launch of the India Business Forum. Listen to the Deputy Trade Minister, who says over $3 billion in trade potential is ripe for Ghana-India trade ties.
As opportunity for the Indian businesses, as they think about Africa, AFCFTA, and they think about West Africa, to see that as a natural place to take from your investment outward into the Africa continent and beyond. This International Financial Services Center will offer you a very attractive means in an environment that we all know. Ghana is safe, politically secure. We don't play with our fiscal discipline going forward. And God willing, from 8th of December, another 4 years will come to make it very clear the same process will keep going. Thank you for that. Because we know continuity is important, and we realize that the journey we have embarked on, the industrial transformation of our country, cannot be done in 4 years. Very much the same as what India managed to do over the decades. Ours is a journey that, frankly, we should have had a long time ago, but we are very determined to complete that journey. And understanding with businesses and countries like India and our ability to provide practical ways of de-risking investment from India, Ghanaian partnership is the way we'll do that. The opportunity is vast. It is huge. The numbers speak for themselves, and you already can see the ramification of that. Are there challenges? Yes. But I don't know any part of the world where there are not challenges. The question is not whether there are challenges, it's what you do when there are challenges. Whether you can come speak to your sector ministry, speak to your MMDA and make sure that they can engage you and find a solution. Rest assured, the India Business Forum, that from the Ministry of Trade and Industry, we will support your activity. The strategy is clear. The opportunities are clear. I know we already have many Indian Ghanaian and Indian investors already in Ghana. We need more partnership. We need greater collaboration. And I still remember, Your Excellency, in my university days, which seems to be getting longer and longer, 30 years ago. The time seems to go very quickly. There used to be a term we often used to talk about, which is intermediate technology, when we talked about discussion with India. Today, because of technology, because of the movement of technology, we can skip intermediate and go straight to technology.
Just before we leave, let's now bring your attention to our Money Lab, where we give you the best financial advice.
On Money Lab today, we want to begin another journey into understanding the financial services universe. The financial services universe is made up of 4 main pillars. 1 is banking, 2 is pensions, 3 is insurance, and 4 is investments. Banking, pensions, insurance, and investments. For today, we would want to concentrate on investments. When we talk about investment, we are talking about how you are able to command your wealth, your cash, your money to work for you for returns as you go ahead to work for money as well. Now, to take a good investment decision, there are 3 critical things you must appreciate. Number 1 is that you must have an investment objective. Number 2 is you must have an investment duration. And number 3 is a risk-return profile. Join us tomorrow as we walk you through these 3 so you can appreciate how to manage your own funds pretty well.
And that's how we end this edition of Business Live. I'm Charles Aitim. Have a good evening.